My name is Jay Kraft. I'm a full-time reseller with a 20-year-old eBay account, and I've been full-time reselling on eBay for the past decade. And if you're thinking about starting right now, I would strongly advise against it. And if you've recently started and you've been having a little bit of trouble, I would actually recommend you start pivoting it as well. I've got a lot of notes with me here today, and generally I do a lot of my videos off the cuff, but there's just so much to cover and so many little details to go into that I felt it really important to just kind of put it all here together. I'm just going to say right off the rip, I'm not exiting reselling full time, but I am going to be dramatically dialing it back within my life to a point where probably here in the near future I won't be considering myself a reseller as much anymore, probably within the next 12 months time, that I am a true reseller. And I know that might sound a little bit confusing, but a true reseller is a reseller in the sense that this is what I do full time. I am a professional buyer. I go to thrift stores, yard sales, swap meets. I do direct from consumer, direct to consumer. I am going out and actively hand sourcing my goods. I am not buying from warehouses often. I am not manufacturing original products. I am not creating arts and crafts and selling them on Etsy in the creation side of things, or I haven't been, at least for the last decade. And I'm going to be speaking specifically on the reseller life and the reseller experience. So if you've thought about doing it, or you have been doing it and you've been having troubles lately, or you've noticed some changes over the last 1 to 5 years, and you're kind of wondering if you're alone or not, you're really not. And truly, if you've thought about getting into it, I want to say there are some good things, but we're going to be spending the first 30 minutes talking about the bad things. There are some really, really great reasons to be a reseller, and we're going to outline those in the end, but there's some fantastic reasons to be a reseller. But as a whole, you're going to come to see why that isn't necessarily going to outweigh the negatives of being a reseller. And I just want to say that being a reseller has afforded me an incredible life. I have pretty much all the things that I need in life, short of a house, which I'm working on still. But, being able to go places when I want, eat what I want, do what I want, buy new clothes, do all the things that I've, wanted to do as a young adult and not really have to stress over finances. I've had those things. Now, you'll see when we get into it why I don't think that's going to be the case moving forward too much longer. But I'm going to step through it for you. And I just want to be clear, I've been doing this full time for about a decade. I've only had a part-time job for about 4 months, and I thought it'd be fun. I was working for the government. I was doing a census job. I got to practice teaching. I got to practice public speaking. I got to practice some team building exercises. It was a great time. I don't really want to hear a whole lot of, well, you're having a problem with this one thing. Here's how you can get around it. Sure, there's going to be workarounds for some of the stuff that I mentioned, but I think it's the overwhelming pile of stuff that makes this job not worth doing as much as it was historically. And I've always been transparent with you guys. Whenever I felt like there's been a shift in the market, a shift within the collectibles market, whatever it might be, I've mentioned it. Now, if you're working as a speculative investor and you're flipping, hype goods or something like that, and, you're buying and selling that type of stuff, this may not really apply to you, but this is really to the traditional reseller and anyone who is actively packing up items every single week and shipping out 20, 30, 40, 50 items a week. This is who I'm talking to. Now, right off the rip, if you're saying, I'm thinking about starting up eBay, I've seen other people be successful, I just want to start off by saying most of you are going to fail. And I can say this firsthand because I've seen it firsthand. We run a community group. 3,500 members. Of those 3,500 members, only 300 people are actually ever present within the group at any given time. Most people fall off of reselling. I know what you're saying, that's not really a true metric. Well, I offer mentoring as well, and I talk with a lot of failed resellers and a lot of people who had the idea and got into this profession with a very specific notion, and then things fell off for them for whatever reason. But there's a lot of people who come into this and they think it's a lot easier than it actually is. It's important to remember, this is a startup business. You are starting a brand new company when you are doing this. You are your own company. And most people who come into this, they don't have any business experience. Have you ever started your own business before? Do you understand all the necessary things that are required to be able to make that successful? One of the big ones, they say only 1 in 100 people can actually work without direction. And I agree with that statement. I know a lot of people who require accountability, and I see it within other people's channels where, you know, they'll have these meetups and they'll have, you know, 1,000 people all at the same time doing eBay listings together because they just can't be self-motivated. If you're not a self-motivated individual and you can't tell yourself, hey, I need to put in 10 hours today, you're not going to make it. Plain and simple, you're not going to make it within this profession. There's no chance of it. So if you can't work without direction, this isn't going to be for you. And the other part about it too is that you're always going to be on the clock. And I've mentioned this with other people. I put it up in the group and I said, you know, hey, how do you guys take a vacation? Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you make it work? And the overwhelming response was, you don't. You're an eBay seller. You don't take a vacation. And I want to be clear. I've done eBay. I've done Amazon. I've done Mercari, Bonanza, Prairie Grit. Like, I've been on all these different selling sites. It's the same thing through and through. I get random messages throughout the day. Hey, can you send me extra pictures of this item? Can you send me, like a better offer on this one? How much does this item weigh? I'm trying to get it sent out to me internationally. And you have to make that hard choice. You know, am I going to do the work right now and make the money, or am I not? And for me, you know, a scrappy 36-year-old who's been doing this for a decade, I'm always going to take the money. And I think there's this big misconception that if you are a reseller or if you're self-employed, and you probably heard this before, that you only work when you have to work. You get to, you know, you set your own hours. And but the reality is when you set your own hours and you have the freedom to choose how much money you're going to make, and you have the choice between making, let's say, $800 a week or $1,200 or $1,200 or $1,500, most people who come into this profession who are going to make it, okay, I'm not talking about the people who are dead set on failure. The people who are going to make it, we're always going to choose the bigger number. We're always going to put in those extra 10, 20 hours every single week. It's in our nature. And, you know, I'm very fortunate to say that I haven't experienced like heavy burnout like others, but I have certainly found myself, you know, on a Saturday night having an extra drink because, you know, I really need to disconnect from the amount of work that I've done. And it's not just like eBay work. It's not just reselling. You know, in this last year, I've picked up a bunch of new ventures, and I'll talk with you guys about that. And it's because reselling isn't generating the same amount of money, and I'll talk to you about why. But the idea that you're going to be able to work 20 hours is a complete fabricated myth. You'll be lucky if you work 40. In reality, you're going to be working 60. I work 7, 8 to 10 hour days each week. So I'm working, I guess, 56 to 70 hours per week. And some of those days even run longer. And it could just be a byproduct of the market. And it could be, you know, because I think some people are very okay making enough money. And if you are a person who has the exact same net worth as last year and the year before, and your savings hasn't gone up, the year of your car hasn't gone up, if you're wearing the exact same clothes, like literally all you have done is fed and entertained yourself and, you know, just kept the mind occupied, you know, then you're falling behind. And you're falling behind just purely based on inflation alone and nothing else. You're falling behind everyone else. So you have to be continually moving forward and continually increasing your net worth, or you're not getting anywhere. You're spinning your wheels, which is far worse. It's much, much worse. So, yeah, a lot of us work really hard. And I know people who put in more hours than I do, which is crazy. Another thing, too, is that you're going to find that when you start this profession, and even when you've been in for a while, I get hundreds of questions, people asking for help regularly. You know, what do I do in this situation? I've got a buyer who's done this. I just got a return request, and they did this. You know, how do I go about listing this? Can I sell this via a global ship program? You know, I'm trying to list this on Amazon, and it's saying that the category doesn't exist. How do I get that category put on Amazon? I get hundreds of questions. It's because of who I am within the marketplace and on YouTube. If those of you who don't know, I did a reseller news program for well over a year, and I've created many training videos and covered a myriad of different topics. So these questions find me, there isn't great resources online. There are people online like myself who we do try and help. There's community groups on Facebook. We'll link mine down below. The group will continue to run. I'm just going to let you know, anyone who's continuing to reselling, we have the group chat. We'll talk about that later. All of that's still going to stay there. It's going to take me a year at least to get through my inventory. I have over 1,500 items online right now. But you're going to really struggle in this space unless you have a willingness to literally seek out great help and pull it in very close to you. You're not going to succeed if you try and do this on your own. Not today. Now, 10 years ago, yes, because things were different 10 years ago. And we're going to talk about why. But if you start right now, your chances of success are probably about 100 times lower than they were 10 years ago. And I know that sounds a bit ridiculous, but I'm a guy who enjoys making money. And if I'm considering leaving this profession, you should ask yourself why and really reflect on the things that I'm going to say. Within these questions, there's more things to worry about. Do you know how to handle returns from customers, or the ever-changing policies within eBay or other platforms on how to deal with those returns? Do you know how to ship items for the cheapest? I know people who have been selling for a decade who are still shipping their items incorrectly. Doesn't matter how many videos I put out, how many times I put things online, how many times I show people how to, reduce their packaging size. Doesn't change a damn thing. People are still shipping their items incorrectly, and they're throwing away money all the time. And then here's the tricky part, okay? Can you truly afford to start? And I've said this before because it was partly true before. You used to be able to go through your house and find items that you would be able to sell, and you could use that money to offset your startup costs. But the cost of starting and actually being successful has gone up as well. Why? Well, computers have gone up in price, and if you're going to succeed, you're going to need a computer. Sure, you can sell stuff through your phone, but when it comes to actually being successful, you need a computer. Okay, you need to be able to go through, manage your listings, be able to run sales on your listings, do accurate promoted listing, be able to clean up your photos on your computer, color grade them, be able to create your shipping labels through there, deal with cases, resolutions, emails. You need a computer. Okay, you're going to need a label printer to go along with it. Okay, and then you're going to need all your supplies that you need to start. And yes, USPS does give out free boxes, but you're not going to succeed only using those. You're going to need to buy poly bags in 4 different sizes, bubble mailers probably in 2 different sizes, cardboard boxes in at least 3 different standardized sizes, packing tape. You're going to need your own shipping scale. And then after all of that's said and done, you're going to need inventory as well. Understanding which box sizes to buy, which bag sizes to buy, and then, after all that's said and done, trying to figure out exactly what type of inventory to get. It's a lot. It's a whole heck of a lot. And then you can't even really get me wound up on the specialty items that I need to be able to do this job. Just looking around me right now, like right over there, I have box cutters and I have lint pullers. In the garage, I have a CD resurfacer. I have a jewelry cleaner. I have all kinds of security Torx bits, precision tweezers, chemicals, soldering irons, work stands. Upstairs, I have 4 or 5 different gaming consoles. I have multi-adapter charging cables for laptops and for batteries. And the list of testing equipment that I need to be able to succeed just within the electronics category is insane. And you can't be buying a whole bunch of electronics and not testing them before you get them shipped out. And I'll show you, if I didn't show it on screen right now, I'll show you some of the equipment that I have to carry just to be able to do the job that I do. And yes, you can acquire that over time. A lot of my consoles I picked up over time, and the CD cleaner I picked up from my last job, and the jewelry cleaner, I just pulled the trigger and bought that just so I could be able to clean up some old Seikos and get them sold. You pick up things along the way. This couch, this lamp, that table, this table, these pillows, all picked up while sourcing, okay, which is very cool. You can pick up stuff along the way, but it's prohibitively expensive to be able to get a lot of those things, and it takes up a large amount of space to be able to hold those things. And I know what you're saying. Well, Jay, I'm not going to work with those items, and I'm not going to be finding myself repairing those items. Okay, well, guess what? I will. As a seasoned reseller who works in over probably 300 to 400 different categories, I'm going to buy whatever the heck I find that I can make money on. Now, back in the day, was I pickier? Sure. 100% I was pickier. I don't have that luxury anymore. And I'm going to tell you why shortly. But I'm going to buy everything I can find. If you don't want to make that money, you know the saying, okay? If you don't want to make that money, someone else will. I'm that someone. I'm going to make that money. So I do have to have these things. I do have to have them on hand. And with the consoles comes the controllers and the cords, and I have to have a game on the side to be able to test it, and then the battery testers that go along with all of that. And then not just having the stuff isn't good enough either. You actually have to have the knowledge. Do you know how to use a soldering iron or a voltmeter? Do you know how to check for continuity? Like all of these things, you have to know as well to be able to succeed in that. And the same thing's true of any category. Let's say you're working with clothing, and I'm just a clothing seller. Okay, cool. Do you know if your tags are authentic? Do you know how to do touch-up stitching if something's loose? Do you know how to remove stains on the fabric? And this is just individual categories. I can do this with every single category. I'm looking at pile of board games. Do you know how to accurately get a count on your board game pieces? Do you know what site to go to be able to figure that information out? Do you know how to mark where? Do you know what chits are? Every category has this, and it took me over a decade to be able to get this down to the point where I'm able to work within all of these different categories. Okay, so it's going to take you a long time, and with I guess these growing pains, there's a lot of money that's going to be lost. Not just the money that you spend buying things you shouldn't spend, but also the money that's going to get lost buying items that you shouldn't even be buying. There's going to be a lot of that as well, and we're going to get to that too. One of the big things I want to talk about as well is the rising cost of goods at thrift stores. And I chuckle a little bit because it's funny. It really is funny to me. I don't know if you've been to Goodwills or Salvation Armies lately, especially here in California. Holy shit, are they bad. It went from being in a place maybe 2-3 years ago where I could fill up my cart, and then I could go to a couple of them and I could fill up the back of the car, and that would be my sourcing for the day. I go to 3 thrift stores and I am pumped if I can bring home 3 items worth listing. And I'm not saying like pumped like big flipping payday. No, I'm saying like it's that bad. I'm excited to have not wasted my time. That's how bad it's gotten. Part of this is due to inflation. You got a lot of people going to the secondary market to buy goods for the first time that would normally buy from the primary market. So you got all these brand new consumers going to thrift stores. Okay, and then the other part of it too is that the thrift stores are in on the game. They're not stupid anymore, okay? And I hope you like the pink socks, ladies. Thrift stores are not stupid anymore. They know that people like us go to the stores. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, oh yeah, there was that guy who liked going through the jewelry counter, and oh, did you hear Joe said he found a ring that turned out to be 22 karat gold? That's crazy. I didn't know people could make money by going to thrift stores 10 years ago. Even 7, 8, 5 years ago, sure. It wasn't as prevalent. So they weren't really in on the game. They knew some people were doing it, but they didn't know that pretty much everyone was doing it, that they were losing money left and right. So what did they do? They hired better staff at the warehouse level, okay? And they're pulling inventory now. What are they doing with this inventory? Some of it's going to local auction. Some of it's going direct to their websites. And then some of it is going direct to eBay. You can see it. The Salvation Armies and the Goodwills, they have stores on there. And that's just the main stores out here. So what does that leave you with? That leaves you with the hole-in-the-wall stores, your little mom-and-pop operations. And your town might not even have any of those. I'm in a big town. I've got 1 million people. The mom-and-pop operations, there's 2 in my town. And they suck. Guess why? They're in on the fucking game too. Okay, they understand that if they have goods, that they can get their goods listed up online. It's no secret to anyone anymore. Okay, so the quality of the goods is going to be lower. And when they do get there, when they do actually make it to the store, let's say it's a 18th century milk jug, something real obscure, doesn't look fancy, doesn't look special, and it makes it there, you're not going to get it. I'm just going to say it point blank. I go to my thrift store up the street here, and I'm not even going to tell you which one it is, but the people in the back, they're getting the items first. And I know that sounds conspiratorial. No, it's not. He was here in my house yesterday, and I was talking with him, and he was showing me his action figures that he was looking to sell. And he talked about a handbag that came in. It was a Michael Kors handbag, and he wanted to get it for his girl. And he said, I knew that if I let any of the other girls see that, they would say, hey, the handbags are for the girls. And he gets all the action figures and toys. So they have the game fixed. It's rigged over there, okay? So the easy pickings are gone, okay? And let's say easy pickings do make it to the floor, or good stuff makes it to the floor, you're not going to get it because every time I go to the thrift store now, there's other resellers there. And I know what you're thinking, like, how do you know they're resellers? We know the reseller walk. We know the shuffle, okay? And I'm speaking to other resellers here. You're holding your phone, you're pushing your cart, doing this, doing the scan. You're looking through glassware. You're looking through books. You're looking through textiles. You're doing the scan and the shuffle. Okay? You know what it looks like. We resellers, we can pick up on the stop, shoulder peek, the search, the pick, the shift, the twist, and the place. Okay? We know what resellers look like. I used to see another reseller maybe every 2-3 months when I'd go out. And now, this is going to sound like I'm just blowing smoke up your ass. The other day, I saw 2 or 3 at every store I went to. And I'm not exaggerating. There's a lot of them out there now. And here's the thing. I've said a while ago, like, there's always enough to go around. You've heard me say that probably 100 times on this channel. There isn't enough to go around anymore. And it's not because there's too many resellers on the bottom end. It's because there's too much activity happening on the top end. Too many items are getting pulled out of the system. All the high quality stuff is getting taken out at the corporate level, at the delivery level, at the store level, like the employee level, where the stuff that's hitting the shelves is absolute garbage. And anything that is good is getting bought by genuine consumers and other resellers. There's just not enough good stuff left on the shelves. Now, you might be saying, like, hey, Jay, my town's different. I got different types of stores. Great, okay? This is the California experience out here. This is multiple towns that I've gone to try and do thrifting in. It's just not the same anymore, okay? The quality of goods at the swap meet, that's falling apart as well. We've had days over 100 degrees for the last 50 or 60 days, and we got 10 more at least coming. 111 degree days out here in California. That destroys the swap meet picking. That destroys the yard sale picking, okay? Yard sales have been the only thing that has saved my resale business over the last 6 months. The highest quality goods with the highest return on my investment have come from yard sales over the last 6 months. Thrift stores are absolutely dead to me. I go once a month now to 3 stores, my 3 local stores, because I'm not seeing anything that would justify me spending more time going to any of these other stores trying to find anything else. It's just not going to be worth it to me. So here's another reason why you're going to fail. You suck at math. Okay, most people I talk to suck at math. I don't know what it is. A lot of you can't seem to calculate your margins worth a damn. I knew a guy who was selling tennis shoes, booster boxes, PlayStation 5s, all your hype items, nonsense stuff. And, he's going out, he's eating expensive meals, and he's, buying new clothing and stuff like that. He's like, life's good. I just sold a PS5 for, $500 online. I made or $550 online. I just made $200 on it. And I'm like, no, you didn't. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm like, no, you didn't. Or whatever the console was or the price point. He spent like $300 on it. He paid $500 to a cook group guy to be able to get it. And I'm like, you didn't make $200. Okay, you have your taxes on that as well. You got like $25 in taxes. You sold it on eBay. Okay, you're going to be losing like 10% of the sale. It's another $60 right there. How much it cost you to ship the damn thing? I know you took it to the store. Oh, $45 to ship the thing too. Okay. And then you got to pay taxes on it at the end of the year, and you have your shipping box. So just to be able to get something sold, people don't calculate their margins. You have the cost to ship the item, the base cost, and obviously, yes, combine and conquer, free shipping. I understand how that works. We're talking fast and free shipping here. It's important for the eBay metrics. You got your ship costs, you got your base cost for the item, you got your listing cost to be able to have the item online. Yes, I get that you get 10,000 listings per month. I'm going to tell you why that's important in a moment. You have your seller fees to actually sell the damn thing. You got bonus fees, okay? You know how many people I talk to don't realize that when you have, a high defect rate within a single category, even if it's just one item that you messed up on, you can pay an extra 3% or more for all of the items listed within that category on eBay? Nobody knows this. Nobody talks about this. That's a lot of money, okay, especially if you specialize in a particular category. You've got taxes, okay? You've got the cost of shipping, cost of the actual shipping materials themselves. You have the cost of acquiring the item, and then you have the cost to deliver that item to the ship station. And I'll bet you there's more stuff in there as well. Everyone I know is making far less than they actually think. When I talk to somebody who's like, oh yeah, I'm doing 5,000 gross per month online right now, and I'm like, okay, what are your margins at? Well, about 90% of that's going to be profit. I'm like, there's not a chance in hell 90% of that is profit. Even if everything you got was free, you're not making 90% on that. And I sit down and I run their numbers with them, and I'm like, yeah, you're making like $2,000 a month after everything's said and done. Okay, and you thought you were making 5, and you're spending, over $3,000 a month. You're buying, and you got to continually buy more inventory too. Some people have this disillusion, and you know what? I even had a little bit of it as well. That like once you get enough items online, you can really kick back. That's never really been the case for me. I have over 1,500 items online. If I didn't have a really fortunate sports card pickup last month, I probably would have made somewhere in the area of about $5,000 for the last 3 months on eBay, which is horrendously bad. I generally average $15,000 every 3 months in gross sales on eBay. Right now, I'm at about 10,000. I'll say probably about 4,000 of that was sports cards. And I'm very, very lucky that I came across this sports card buy, one of the greatest buys that I've had probably in my 10 years of reselling. And, people call it the summer slowdown. I'm just going to be frank with you. Consumer habits are shifting. eBay is not as cool and as popular as it used to be. It's losing a lot of its fanfare and appeal. It's not surprising at all to me, some of the moves that they've been making. But, one of the big reasons, too, is, Amazon is pretty goddamn nice. I don't know if you shop on Amazon, but the buying experience has become so freaking easy on Amazon for me. Like, why am I even going to shop on eBay when I can find exactly what I'm looking for? I'm going to get fast and free returns. That item's going to be here like tomorrow or the next day, and I don't even have to pay extra for that. Even in some key markets, you can get the item today. Like, order within the next 10 minutes and get the item today. That's insane. And as that rolls out into more places, eBay is going to continue to lose market dominance. And the secondary market of goods is getting really, really diluted as well. We're going to talk about that too. But yeah, I just want to really touch on that. You're not making as much money as you think you are. Everyone's numbers are wrong. Unless you're actually running spreadsheets or you have a bookkeeper or you're really on top of your shit, you're making much less than you think you are. Every single person I've consulted with for the last 5 years that I've been doing like genuine consulting with people, all of their numbers have been wrong every single time. There's been a huge increase in the number of resellers, and this has really been fueled by the pandemic. A lot of people were struggling to be able to generate enough revenue to be able to keep their head above water, and we're actually seeing it happen again right now. I don't know if you've seen the reports. They said 1 in 6 people are currently defaulted or overdue on their electric bill. And unlike previous times where we've been in bad economic places, the amount of money that they owe is almost 100% more than they typically owe for late payment. And when you see this start to happen, you're going to see a flood of goods come to the market. And when that flood of goods comes to the market, not only is it just an absolute ton of new sellers, you're going to see people get advantageous and try and go out and find items. When the pandemic hit, the number of resellers probably shot up by about like 500% or more. Not only did the pandemic hit, you had new sites hit at the exact same time. Etsy and Posh really gained a lot of momentum. Whatnot came around and gained a heck of a lot of momentum, and people were using Amazon more than ever. It kind of ingrained into their head how to use Amazon during the pandemic because people were afraid to leave their damn house. The whole climate shifted, and now you have it to where anyone can be a reseller. Anyone at any time. What used to just kind of be like a little specialty thing, there was groups of people who were sellers, and there was a large group of people who were buyers. And now you have a lot of people who have access to selling functionality for the first time. I'm talking about Facebook Marketplace, and I'm talking about OfferUp, and I'm talking about LetGo. A lot of people, but mainly Facebook Marketplace, that opened up selling opportunities for like over 100 million people, domestically, to be able to start selling for the first time whatever they wanted to sell, and they could list an item to their local market and make it even available nationwide within like 3 minutes. No special account needed. Your camera already had your phone already has a damn camera on it, so it just gave this unfettered access to be able to start selling your own stuff. And this was stuff that would also make its way to thrift stores. This is also stuff that would make its way to professional resellers who would run ads for these goods. This also would make its way to consigners. Consigners are absolutely getting decimated in small towns. You just cannot succeed as a professional consigner unless you're running the estate sale end of things, which we'll chat about here in a second. But all of these sites made it way easier for people to come into the marketplace, and it's just a lot. So with an increase in the quantity of goods available for sale, you're going to see a reduction in overall prices on these goods. And as people are starting to struggle more and more financially, which I do feel is going to ramp up, and I think it's going to ramp up aggressively. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm optimistic. I'm hoping things will actually cool off here a little bit, but I think it's going to get much worse before it gets better. You're going to see more and more people trying to find ways to get scrappy and make money. Reselling being a low barrier to entry opportunity for people using marketplace and the like are going to be going after those types of items even more. And then with this too, you also have the combined fact that interest in buying is going down as well. So when people have less money and there's less floating money in the economy, because guess what? Those pandemic dollars and those PPE dollars are actually starting to dry up. We're watching them dry up right now. People are pulling back on luxury purchases. eBay is a compilation of luxury items in the sense that we're not selling roof shingles, we're not selling water, and most of us aren't selling blankets. Okay, Amazon sells more functional items than eBay does, things that are like actual necessities to your life, whatever quality of life you have. eBay is not known for those things. So eBay is just hurting overall because most people don't have the expendable income. And we're seeing it across all sectors, but especially niche collectibles. I feel that they're getting hurt the most. Pop culture collectible and mass market collectibles, not so much, just based on my personal experience from what I've seen. On to estate sales. Like I said, with the same thing as the thrift stores, estate sales are now starting to run their items online as well. And they are doing private consignment from the seller, and those good items are not working their way through the same way that they did before. Now, maybe over on the East Coast things might be different, but over here on the West Coast, man, things are just not the same. If the estate sales privately ran, you've heard me talk about this before, sure, you can do fine, but if it's ran through a company that has any common sense and knowledge whatsoever, they're going to pull out all the stuff that's worth pulling out. So that market has changed up as well. It's weird to even say because reselling for most people is a side hustle. They're doing it to make an extra $500, $1,000, $1,500 per month, or they're doing it because it's fun. And that's another weird thing I'm going to touch on really quick. I know people who are making $100,000 a year. One, oh man, it just blows my mind. They resell on the side for fun. And it's just something extra that they get to do. And sure, they're going to use the money and they're going to spend it, but people who are making $100,000 a year in a day job, in a primary job, going out and scooping up these items that, people like I, or even lower income earning resellers could theoretically be getting, that's a little bit, I don't know. It rubs me a little bit in an odd way. And I'm not saying that they're not eligible to go and get those items, but there's people out there who are doing that. And it's just absolutely blowing my mind. I'm doing conventions now, and partly I do really enjoy them because it gives me an opportunity to interact with people. It gives me an opportunity to get inbound purchase and sales requests from people through effective flyering while I'm there, and the money is fantastic. I mean, I can make an extra, I don't know, $20,000 a year doing maybe 10 conventions each year, and that's probably $20,000 profit on top of what I'm already doing, but it's actually a side hustle. I have to side hustle my primary reselling business now because reselling isn't paying the bills the same way that it used to. So I guess the question would then be, how do you actually effectively scale as a reseller so that way you can continue to do it full time? And it's not something that you have to supplement with something else. One of the key ways to do it is actually to scale up really far and to actually get a warehouse and to get employees. The tricky part with it is that you can't do that in every town. There's only a handful of select towns in America where you could really pull that off, where the town is big enough and there's enough inventory out there, or you have, a cheap enough place to rent and you have enough scoutable towns around you. I mean, look at American Pickers. They literally go on the road and they're gone for weeks at a time. They're getting inbound messages and they're able to scout the items and then send them back, and they're able to have created an infrastructure. Most people aren't going to be able to do that. Most people don't have the dedication for that. And the problem is, too, when you go into hire staff, is that once they know what they're doing, they don't need you anymore. They can go do it on their own. And then you have your warehousing cost. And especially here in California, you have your cost of doing businesses and your licenses and your permits and your insurances, which we're going to get to here in a second as well. And when you do look at a town like the one I'm in, Bakersfield, you're not going to find enough items. I could not get a warehouse. I could not hire a staff in this town and be able to scale up my reselling. My inventory flow, that plus, I mean, where the market's at as well, those are my big bottleneck points. There's no changing those points either. That's just the way that it's going to be. Shows like Pawn Stars, American Pickers, and Storage Wars have really glorified this field. It's made it look like it's something that it's really not. And don't get me wrong, Storage Wars was the primary reason I started down this path. I resold when I was in high school. I used to have these little sales lists, ones that I would handwrite and then go to the library in the morning, and I would spend $1 and I would make 20 photocopies of that handwritten list, and then I would hand it out to teachers and other students, the ones that I knew that had money, and I would try and generate some sales throughout the day. No bullshit. This is what I did as a high schooler. And then I tried a handful of other oddball jobs, and the idea of being a reseller never really dawned on me until like 6 years later when I saw an episode of Pawn Stars and Storage Wars. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I didn't think you could make money online doing that. And it was an extension of something I had done before. And I said, okay, what the heck, I'm going to go for it. Man, things were good then. Even 10 years ago. And I talked to people who were doing it 20 years ago, full-time 20 years ago, and they told me that eBay was like the Wild West. You could find all kinds of crazy good auction deals, and you could go to thrift stores, storage auctions, pawn shops, yard selling, and you could just get away with the most insane deals. The stories that I've heard would blow your mind. And those types of stories are so few and far between nowadays. That's one of the big things I want to emphasize on. The ability and ease at which you could be a reseller 10 years ago compared to now is completely night and day. I have to sustain a 60-hour work week to be able to generate the same money that I was able to make probably doing a 30-hour work week 10 years ago. And a lot of you who are resellers are fully aware of what I'm talking about. You have to work a lot more, unless I'm doing something completely wrong. Unless I've completely screwed the pooch and I don't understand what I'm doing and I'm the guy with egg on my face and I'm just over here venting and there's nothing really wrong. I haven't talked with many people about this. I've had some, high-level discussions with some, but I haven't really echoed these concerns out loud with other resellers. These are just firsthand things that I'm experiencing myself, but maybe it's just me. I have no clue. And then the other end of that too is the resellers that are on YouTube. And I'll be frank, I've only watched a handful of reseller videos. All of the stuff that I do is pretty much original content. I don't take ideas from other people. It's not my shtick. When I started on this whole thing doing YouTube, I didn't realize there was other people talking about reselling on YouTube. When I started, people came to me and said, hey, you should check out this. Hey, you should check out that. I never really did. And then other resellers reached out to me and said, hey, we're doing this thing. We'd like to have you come on sometime. And then I learned a whole heck of a lot more. There's a lot of YouTubers that are doing like reselling, like I'm a reseller, I'm going out, I'm getting my items, I'm pulling stuff from the dumpsters, I'm going to stores, throughout the day, that have full-time jobs, that are working 40 hours a week, and they're portraying themselves as a reseller. And they're not full-time resellers, they're part-time resellers. Some of them only resell just to make YouTube videos. It's very important to know. Not all of them, not any of them, as far as I can't think of one that I know of personally. I don't know all of them out there. Your favorite one might be a full-timer, and kudos to him. I'm the only full-time reseller on YouTube that I know of personally. I'm sure there's more, okay? But from what I've seen, they have another job, either a full-time or part-time job, and the vast majority that I've seen have a partner, a wife or a husband or whomever, that has a full-time job, and here's the big kicker. It includes insurance, or it includes vacation pay, and it has all the amenities bundled in that a reseller would really, really want that we don't get currently. There was a time when eBay offered discounted medical insurance through the site. You could get a discounted rate by being an eBay seller. I don't think that's around anymore, but it was something like $700 a year for insurance. You know how much insurance is nowadays for me here in California? It's like $8,000 a year. Okay. Most people don't have, at the end of a whole year of working, an extra $8,000 laying around. Just have it on hand. They just don't have it. And I understand why. It's hard. It's really hard. Okay. And then there's a lot of them who, like I said, it's kind of a glorification of the field, and they're very hyped and very excited about their reselling, and some of them are having a great time. I love going out and finding great items. I love the whole experience of it. I love treasure hunting, and we'll talk more about that later. But there's a good chunk of them that are receiving ad revenue, or they have sponsors, they have ad revenue, and don't get me wrong, I have YouTube ads. Yeah, do you know how much I made in the last 2 years? Like $100 in YouTube ads. Okay, you got Patreon, whatever, but I'm talking some people are doing $100,000 a year plus in ads and sponsorships. Okay, on that note, we have a message from today's sponsor. Actually, today's sponsor is Hard Work.
We here at Bolarama understand that soy vente macchiato latte isn't going to pour itself, and that liberal arts degree that you spent 6 years getting really doesn't pay the bills. But let me ask, do you find yourself having time to complete video games? Are you constantly available to go new places and spend time with friends? Are you scrolling for hours on end on TikTok or Instagram? Or taking midday naps after you slept for 11 hours just the night before? Well, it might be time to talk to your doctor about hard work and what it can do for you. Hard work isn't for everyone. Side effects include success, feeling accomplished, admiration from your peers, being able to afford nice things, ending debt collector calls, beautiful women, nicer neighborhoods, and an early retirement. Talk to your doctor today and see if hard work is right for you.
We need to talk about the rising cost of doing business. As things get more expensive, we generally do not get more for our items. And what that means is that right now we have a situation here in California where minimum wage is $15 an hour. And I don't know what minimum wage is in your town, but I'm sure that you've seen everything getting more expensive with or without minimum wage. We just have natural inflation. But we also have minimum wage going up, which has increased the cost of goods dramatically here in California, to where if I want to go to like Jack in the Box and get a sourdough combo large, it's going to cost me like $13 or $14, which is just absolutely insane that it's that expensive. And then we have our insane gas cost out here too, which is, just barely under $5, and we're celebrating and dancing in the street because it's finally under $5 again, even though it almost broke $6 just a couple of weeks ago. This is the really challenging part about our job as a reseller versus other gig jobs. And what I mean by other gig jobs, I'm talking about things like people who play music at venues, I'm talking about artists, I'm talking about people who create original goods, those types of things, or even traditional business owners. So if I make $100 on eBay and my buying power goes down by about 10%, 20%, which is done over the last couple of months, there's no real way that I can offset that, in the sense that let's say I'm playing guitar for a living. I can say, hey, the economy is the way it is. I've got to charge an extra, $20 per show that I'm doing. I'm sure you can understand, but yeah, just everything's more expensive. There's no way for me to do that with eBay. I can't just charge more for my items. And I even heard an eBay representative say that once. They're like, well, as shipping costs rise, you can simply just adjust the cost of your goods to offset this postal increase, or offset the cost of your goods to adjust for the fee increase. It doesn't work that way. If anything, it's counterintuitive, because the people who are going to go on there, they're going to buy the best version at the cheapest price of the item that they want. That's just the way it is. That's just how they shop. So I can't just add on a couple extra dollars as inflation takes hold, which means my items are selling for the same price, but I'm getting less buying power for those items. And to try and remedy that, the only thing that I can do is to list and sell more items, which means I need to work more, which has gotten me up to a 60-hour work week just to try and be able to maintain the amount of money that I'm making. Not only do we see dramatic increases in our fees, we've seen fees go up quite a bit. And I will give eBay the nod for reducing the cost of the transaction fee by in-housing managed payments, which is something I was really afraid of initially, Audion and, inside managed payments, but it did reduce the cost of our swipe fee. But eBay fees have just kind of gone right up to keep in line with that. And I remember eBay fees, it used to be about 8% on average, and we would just say 10%. We just round it out and we say, oh yeah, it's about 10%. That's how we factor it out. This was probably in 2000 and, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. And now it's like 11.5 to 13%, depending on the categories. Some categories are 1 and 2%. We're not all selling precious metals. So not only do we have an increase in seller fees, which is just continually going up month after month, we also have an increase in shipping cost. Shipping costs are through the roof. 6 increases in like the last 2 years, 2.5 years, including first class, which has seen absolutely ridiculous increases. I remember when I'd be able to sell a thing of chapstick, I could ship out a single tube. It was like $1.65. Now the minimum is like $3.99 to ship that out. Okay. And what that does is it dramatically reduces the amount of goods that you can work with. And I know, and I've heard some asshats say this before. If you can't factor shipping into your item, then you know, if you can't offset the cost, then you shouldn't be selling that item online. Well, no shit, jackass. But the thing is, I used to be able to sell that because it was able to fit within my pricing model. I understand how the economics work. But what I'm saying is that items that used to be something that I could sell for $10.99 and I could profit like $7 or $8 after fees and shipping, a $10.99 sale now might profit me $3, maybe $4. It's not even worth my time and trouble anymore. Like my minimum sale now for me to really be worth my trouble, I gotta sell something for $20. Okay, I'm looking at $5 shipping. I'm looking at $2.80 on fees. That's $8.50 out. I gotta buy that item for $1.50. If I'm lucky, I gotta find it for $1.50, sell it for $20, and then I make $10. And I even had a guy here just yesterday trying to sell me some stuff. He had a $60 piece. And I told him, like, the most I can give you is like $20. He's like, you can't do any more? They sell for $60 on eBay. I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be, you know, $14 to ship it because it weighs more than a pound. The fees on a $60 sale is going to be about $9, you know, maybe $8. And then I got to buy the damn thing. I'm going to make $20. You're going to make $20. Do you want me to work for $10? Do you want me to spend $30 so I can make 10? Do you think, and that's why I tell people, it's not that the deals out there are like bad deals, okay? I just need screaming deals, or it's not worth my time and trouble anymore. And then here's the other rub. If he wants that money, go sell it yourself then. Go do it on your own. And that's the thing. People can do it on their own now, okay? So not only do we have an increase in shipping costs, it's just getting end over end. UPS, don't get me wrong, UPS, and items that are like 1 to 2 pounds now being about $10 to $14 is really nice. Okay, and I understand that. It's still not enough though. Okay, we've seen the prices just screaming over the last 2 years. We have an increase in gas, an increase in vehicle maintenance cost. Oil cost is up. So if you're doing your own oil, tire costs are up, battery costs are up. The cost to have a mechanic look at your car. We have an influx of cars right now like crazy. It's been since the pandemic onward till now. And then the cost of gas going up as well. You're paying all those costs when you're going out and sourcing and you're doing your job. You may not factor vehicle maintenance, but you know, companies that hire you will pay you 55 cents a mile to drive your own car because they understand they're putting wear and tear on your vehicle. Do you factor that in? If you're driving 100 miles round trip to pick up inventory, do you factor that's going to cost you about $55 in potential wear and tear on your vehicle? Or even half that, okay? You know, because you got your fuel cost. Do you factor it's going to cost you $25 in vehicle wear and tear? No, most people don't. You know, they just look at it as an imaginary, you know, unforeseen, accidental burden that comes down the line later on. Cardboard, tape, and packing supplies. Holy crap, has cardboard gotten expensive. I have a cardboard graveyard now, and it literally has like an appreciable value on my taxes at the end of the year. I've got like $1,000 worth of cardboard right now. And I have to keep track of that. It's not cheap cardboard anymore. Cardboard boxes used to be 10, 15, 20 cents a box for an 8x6x4. You're getting them for like 60 cents to $1 a box now for not even a brand new or virgin fiber as they call it. We're talking like a high quality recycled box, something that can actually, you know, stand up on its own, something with like a, you know, corrugate number 2 with a 35 to 70 pound crush capacity, like a good box. And I hope you appreciate me geeking out over cardboard, but good cardboard is really good. I made a post about it the other day. Good boxes are hard to come by, and you save your good boxes, okay? This stuff is expensive now, and you have to factor it into your cost. If you're shipping out, you know, an item for $15 and you got $6 in shipping first class, and you spent $1 on your box, and then you got your fees, and then you got your listing fees, is it even worth it? Is it even worth it? It's not. It's really not. And yes, and this is where somebody in the comments will be like, well, I get all my boxes for free because I have a friend who works at such and such place. Yes, I get it. There's workarounds for everything, okay? There's going to be some jackass in the comments, and I get it. Please, go ahead and comment. I want you to. It helps me, okay? But it's not just about one individual thing. We're all, every one of us resellers is experiencing these pressure points, all of them at once. And I'm not going to sit here and say no one's talking about it because I don't watch other people's content, but I don't know of anyone who's made a robust list like this to kind of go into detail of all the things that we're having issues with. So we have issues with being able to sell low-end items now. There's just not a great way to do it, with the exception of like trading cards with eBay Standard Envelope, which, trust me, I love it and I appreciate them for that. But we need that option across the board. I mean, eBay was able to create freaking Orange Connex, partner with them, and people from China can still ship. Somebody from China can ship me this chapstick for like 30 cents, okay? Or from the logistics plant down south, it can come from Southern California for like 30 cents to me. But I can't ship that across the street for less than like $1.50, with like a handful of stamps or something. If, heaven forbid, I want to get it across the country, it's going to cost me a minimum of $3.50 to send it first class. That's for another video. So we have the lower end items, but what else? Well, there's a lot of things we just can't sell. We can't sell anything medical device. Here's the huge one. You can't sell adult stuff on eBay anymore. And I got so heated when eBay double backed on their policy because they said, no adult items whatsoever. And then they're like, well, we're going to go ahead and allow Playboy after like I delisted all my Playboy and moved it to another platform. But they said, we're not going to allow adult items. Oh, well, hold on. We have sexual wellness. We're going to go ahead and allow sexual wellness. So you can have sex toys and you can have Playboys, but no sexual content stuff whatsoever. And we're going to be very ambiguous about what that means. And I even asked, in an interview with somebody, like how far the gray areas are on that. And then, I don't want nothing that features Aunt Jemima because you're a racist if you try and sell anything with Aunt Jemima on it. And, none of those Dr. Seuss books that feature, the Asian men. And I can say it, I'm Asian, okay? None of those Asian guys can't have any of the yellow skins in our classic literature. Not a chance in hell. And then you also have Amazon cracking down as well on all kinds of different goods, CDs, DVDs, records, books, anything that's considered popular, you're not allowed to sell it. And we all saw this coming. We all saw Amazon, slowly creeping up and giving us all the middle finger, all of us small-time sellers. They used all of us so that they could build the platform up. And now all they have is predominantly first-party sellers because it's almost I want to sell a copy of Monopoly on Amazon. Okay, go ahead and give me the product safety data sheet from Hasbro because we need to know that the kid who eats the tin race car isn't going to get, lupus or something. So they want this as well. And I don't mean to get heated and animated about it, but the market's shifting, and I feel like this is all culminating to a point where it's just not as fun anymore because there's, I guess, like red tape and rising cost and all of those things. So, but I don't mean to get animated or angry about it. But you kind of see where I'm coming from, right? I'm not alone on this. The next one here, I got a thing that talks about customers. I've had a lot of great customers. I've had some of the best customers that I've ever dealt with in my entire life through eBay. Some of the nicest people in the world. Just recently, I had a customer who bought an auction listing off of me, and the auction sold for like really cheap. And they ended up sending me like an extra like $50 or $70. I can't even remember how much. And they said, like, hey, you're selling good stuff. You're a good person. Here's some extra money. I'm like, holy shit, that was nice of them. And, I've been on the giving and the receiving end of this great customer experience, but there's some really shitty customers out there, like really bad ones. Wait till you file your first police report. Wait till you file your first IC3 FBI report, the Internet Crimes Division. Okay. It's shocking. Some of the links that people will go to. Wait until you're part of an FBI sting 3 states away and you have an agent dress up as a postman to deliver your package and then immediately cuff the person who answers the door and then have your item returned back to you. Wait till you're part of an intercontinental shipping fraud where a third-party courier in like Spain cuts open the bottom of your box, steals the contents, and then attempts to reseal it. And then you have to work with, somebody countries away in different time zones to ascertain what happened. And you spend a month trying to resolve a $5,500 order. Okay. The internet's a really fucked place sometimes. Okay. And if you're not prepared to deal with some of those challenges that are going to come along, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to eat $5,500? You're going to let that get cooked? No. You're going to eat a $2,000 laptop? No. You have to be prepared. Or as Jordan Peterson puts it, you have to fortify yourself against the vicissitudes of life. You have to be ready to deal with these types of things. All these bad things can and because they are theoretically possible, they will eventually happen. You have to be ready for them. One of the other things, too, that's always been frustrating, and even more so now, is that you have little control over your business. So when eBay decides that they want to change Cassini, their search engine, and they want to change the way that your items show up in search, or they want to prioritize, people who are doing fast and free returns, we're gonna bump them up. People who have white backgrounds on the photos, we're gonna bump them up. Hey, who remembers that summer like 4 or 5 years ago where you had to have the barcode number for every new item that you sold? And if you were like me and you had 500 new items, you had to hire somebody and bring them in for a couple of days. And if you don't have those barcodes, guess what? We're not even going to display your items anymore. And who remembers when Google played hardball and really pushed that whole thing forward? And, we're just going to go and start charging more now too for the fees. And, if you don't like it, then just fuck off. And the company, and that's what's really frustrating is that they know they got you. You know what I mean? They got you. And there's not really anything you can do about it because they for the longest time, they've been the only show in town. But more people are starting to move off the platform. But eBay isn't backing down at all. eBay is, again, they're doing kind of like Amazon, and they're catering to first-party brands in a very powerful way. And those of you who don't know, eBay doesn't really care about small sellers. And when I say small, I'm talking about anyone doing under $100,000 a year. A lot of people don't know this. There's different tiers of eBay customer support. If you're a small-time seller, you're dealing with India when you call in for help. And rarely, if the center's overflowed, you'll get a domestic representative. But you're dealing with India, and it's really rough to deal with them sometimes. Not just because of the language barrier, but because of the tools that they're given are not very robust. They can't do a whole heck of a lot to help you. And it makes it very, 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 very frustrating that's your point of contact with the company that you've worked for a decade. Now, I'm fortunate that I went to eBay Open and I've been granted Concierge, which is an American-based service. And that's for the people who are doing big volume. So people are doing several $100,000 a year up to maybe $1 million-ish per year. And I was granted that for going to eBay Open. Thank you to the patrons when I was doing Patreon for helping fund that whole thing. But if you don't have that, it's a very hard experience. And I would not continue to do eBay if I had to go back to that experience again. Mark my word, I would not do it. And then there's even another tier beyond that. That's not just for sellers, but also for buyers. It's for people who are doing like millions of dollars a year. And it's direct point of contacts. And being able to even be able to potentially speak on influence within the company. There's all kinds of tiers. But us small-time sellers, they'll step up and they'll say, we care about the seller. We really do, but I don't think they do in a true capacity. I mean, they canned eBay Open. There's no reason to do that. And now they got this little tiny one coming up, and I'm going to go to it. This will be the last event that I ever do with eBay. And I've tried to work my way into the inner circle, and I feel I have ways that I can improve the site and the company and the communication, everything as a whole. But I've never been able to truly work my way in. I just don't think they want me. I don't think they want the small-time seller. And there's a lot of great small-time sellers with a lot of great ideas. And you look at the eBay community page, it's an absolute shit show. It's just ran by Reddit-style moderators. And, any voices of dissent are immediately banned off of the forum. I've been banned off of the forum as well. I've been banned by Facebook for Business even. And even though I am who I am, I still get banned off of those things for speaking my mind. So you have little control over your business. You have little control over the way that your business is displayed or the way that eBay chooses to put your business out there. And then that leads into the next thing. The government is getting very, very greedy as of late. They enacted new policies under the guise of trying to stop billionaires from not paying their taxes. And now what it used to be is that if you made under $20,000 a year with a company, with eBay, for instance, or PayPal, you did not, they did not tell the government that you made that money. If you made over $20,000, they were required to report it. My understanding now is that the new laws in place have taken that $20,000 number. So if you did $18,000 in sales, the government just had no idea. Okay, that number has now been lowered to 600, and that's going to be PayPal, Stripe, Zelle, Zettle, Cash App, eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Mercari, Posh, all of them, the whole lot. If you make over $600, the government's going to know. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get a rude awakening about a year from now when they get audited by the government and they get that tax bill. And they're pretty much going to be forced to kind of pay that tax off because they're not going to be able to afford to fight it. And that's just kind of got to be the rub. And there's a lot of people who don't understand how the taxes work. And there's a lot of us resellers who just don't pay the taxes. You know, I think the last number that I heard was somewhere in the area of 96% of resellers don't pay taxes. And the reseller market is vitally important. It keeps a lot of goods out of landfills that would otherwise be there. And I don't think the government appreciates what resellers actually do for the world, especially as far as stimulating the economy and allowing money to continue to exchange hands in ways that it wouldn't traditionally change hands. It's really good for an economy to have a robust market of skilled resellers. And that's one of the other things too, is that the resellers that are coming to the market, because they aren't getting properly trained, they're not that good. And what ends up happening is you get an overall worse experience as a buyer. You get more items that are getting photographed on the ground. You're getting shittier levels of customer service. Your items are getting shipped to you and they're not getting shipped there safely. They're being packed poorly. You're not getting good customer service on the back end. It just creates a really bad, muddled experience, and there's no level of vetting that goes on. So your store where you have, I have $150,000 worth of inventory listed right now is right up alongside, Joe Blow, who is, got a pair of denims laying on the hardwood or laying on the concrete. I see that all the time. They got them laying down outside in the sun because they don't know how to get studio lights. Or, are you going to buy lights too? You're going to buy light stands. There's so much gear you got to buy. I have so much stuff. So many items. I probably got $10,000 worth of equipment just as a reseller. It's insane. I have so many other little notes, and I'm going to hammer through some of them with you. I haven't had a garage to park my car in a decade, and I know that seems just so stupid, but, I have an okay car. I hate the fact that I have to park it in the sun. It's always hot. It's always hot every time I get in my car, but I don't have a spot to park it right now, and I haven't for a long time. I've got a 2-car garage. It's completely full of inventory right now. There's nothing I can flick and do about it either, so that's just the way it is. So if you like your garage, then, well, there's that, and then alternatively, yes, you could pay for a storage unit. I know somebody who's paying for 3 units right now, $600 a month, and they haven't had a $600 a month in over a year. It just boggles my mind. Boggles my mind. Don't pay for storage. If you're paying for storage, you're doing it wrong. Okay? And, yeah. And then there's the other cost. And we talked about this just a second ago. How are you going to insure yourself? Do you have an extra $7,000 or $8,000 a year? And heaven forbid you have a partner. Heaven forbid you have a child. I mean, maniac, firstly, but you have $10,000 a year to cover health insurance for all 3 of you. And maybe I'm looking up the quotes wrong, but I'm just getting these absolutely insane quotes for insurance. It's just mind-boggling to me to have decent insurance. Are you going to have business insurance? Are you going to protect your inventory from flood and from theft and from fire? Or do you have a bookkeeper? Are you going to learn how to do your own bookkeeping? Do you want to get paid help, or are you going to try and figure it out on your own? And like I said, Amazon is cheap too. I got here on my list again too. Man, I use Amazon. I get a package price sent in every single day from Amazon. That's something I'm using to optimize or upgrade or replace or repair here around the house. I don't do that with eBay. I get maybe 1 package a month from eBay, but I'm probably getting 30 packages a month from Amazon right now. I don't even have Prime. I'm willing to wait 4 days. I'm such a stubborn prick when it comes to spending the $100 a year for Prime. I don't even have that. I'm just waiting 4 days. So I want to talk about one more thing here. Okay, this is so stupid. Okay, well, two things here because I got a couple of things here. Make sure my shipping address isn't on here. It is. Okay, I'm gonna fold this down for you. Do you like doing inventory? Do you like manifesting? Okay. This was an order that I made the other day. This is a weird thing too, guys. When you're doing this profession, you're always working, like always working. I got an email the other morning. I'm hungover. I'm waking up. It's like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, and I get an email from Tilly's, the clothing store. And it's like, hey, Tilly's, we're having a 50% off sale. Some things up to like 70% off. Check us out. I'm like, sure, whatever. I'm just going to buy a couple of shirts for myself. You know, it's a pretty good deal. They got some shirts for like $7, $8, $9. And what do I see? I see some really great Squid Game shirts. And mind you, I've just woken up. But the shirt, I look on eBay, these shirts are like $20, $22 each. I'm like, oh, snaps. They're selling them for $7.38, and I can get 10% back in Tilly's bucks and buy myself some other clothes in the future. So there we go. I'm ordering 40 shirts that morning. All Squid Game shirts, and I'm going to sell them at conventions. I'm going to make great money on it, but I'm just always on. You go to a grocery store, and we have Tahitian salt. It's 95% off. We got some cans of tree protectant, tree coat. They're like 1 cent each. And it's like you have to work. What, are you not going to work? Are you not going to look up those items? Are you not going to pass on that deal? You have a chance to make a couple $100. Are you going to take it or not? Yeah, you take it. And then those items come in. You got to inventory. You got to manifest. You got to get those items placed on the shelf. There's constantly more work to be done. You know, I applied for a gig the other day. It was to be a educator, presenter, video creator for this really cool company. It's called Chartech, and they offered me $55,000 a year. And I told them I would need at least 85 because I value my time freedom a lot, which we'll get to here in a second. And we couldn't come to terms on the number. And they asked me, why would you want to work here if you're making so much money and you enjoy what you're doing as a reseller? And I said, because I feel like I could make more money or the same amount of money, but I could work significantly less. Like if I only worked 40 hours a week, I can't even imagine that right now. I can't. I work so much right now. So I said I would be thrilled to work 40 hours a week here. It would be easy for me to do 40 hours a week. And then one other thing, I got this item. Okay, this little Math Madness toy, Math Blaster, 2nd grade edition. Okay, guess how long this took to sell on eBay? This just sold today or yesterday. This took 2,000 days to sell. And I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. That's over 65 months that this item sat on eBay before it sold. And what's really funny is I have a collection of items that are identical to the last one to ever sell on eBay. Meaning that I am in a store, I'm looking up an item. Oh, okay, this Math Blaster sold for $80 just a week ago, and they only want $4 for it. Sure, I'm going to buy it. I buy it and I list it for $80, and it sits there, and I mark it down to 70, and then 60, and then 50, and then it goes back to full price, and then mark down again, and then, you know, eventually yesterday I looked at it and I said, I'm going to have to send out an offer for like $40 and see if I can get somebody to buy it. And somebody finally bought it for $40. It took 2,000 days for this item to sell. I've got a lot of items that have been in there for a long time. I've got probably 100 items that have been online for over 1,500 days. This is another thing too. If you may start this profession, can you afford to weather the storm? So when you first started out before, it was really easy to find high quality items that would very quickly sell on eBay, that didn't require much work, didn't require great photographs, didn't require repair. I feel like those days have come and gone. It feels like almost everything needs a little bit of work, and not everything is destined to sell quickly. Sports cards, sure. Funko Pops, sure. If you're like cherry picking, you're running ads and getting good things and you're working on smaller margins, sure. But there's a lot more of this type of shit out there where you're going to be waiting a long time for it to sell. And unless you have a lot of money, you're not going to be able to afford to weather that storm. There's a lot of variance early on. I would say that if you're going to get into this profession, you're probably going to want to have at least $5,000 to start, which just seems absolutely insane. 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, I would tell people if you have at least $100, you can get started in this profession. Okay, you can get rolling, you can get a little bit of inventory, you can get it sold, you can take those profits, you can buy a printer, you can even connect it to your cell phone, you can run it that way, buy a little bit more inventory, that inventory will sell within a week or two. It's gone. It's gone. Those days are gone. You can't start that way anymore. Unless you have $100 and you get incredibly lucky with the first few items that you find. Or if you have $5,000 worth of inventory laying around your house, old cell phones, calculators, personal computers, laptops, cameras, digital cameras, high quality goods that you could instantly sell and then start your business from there. And then here's the next rub, okay? In California, minimum wage is $15 an hour. That's $600 a week pre-tax. Most of you resellers aren't making $600 a week. You're not making $500 a week, even part-time. Or even full-time. Why aren't you just working a normal job? Why aren't you just working a normal job? The tricky thing, too, is the reason why some of you start as well is because you see the guy on YouTube who's having a whole lot of fun doing reselling. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fun to be had. But the guy who's doing that doesn't really have a firm grasp on the market and all of these other things that are going on. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. And if you go into it with that person and with that idea, you're really going to fail. Like, mark my word, you're going to fail. And I don't mean that because I wish ill upon you. I mean that because I know what I know, and you're not going to make it. Most people aren't going to make it. 990 out of 1,000 of you are just not going to make it, especially to the point of being a full-time reseller. It's just not going to happen. And I partly know this because I'm on here, and I've been on here for years, and I've been screaming at you guys, saying, please take my help. And initially, and for probably the last 3 to 6 months, I've really struggled with this, and I've had to ask myself, what is it about me that makes people unwilling to take the help that I am offering? And now, after tons of thought, because originally I'm like, maybe I'm just not speaking with enough influence. Maybe I'm not speaking with enough impact. Maybe the words I'm saying are falling on deaf ears because people just simply don't trust me. Maybe they think I'm a huckster or a charlatan. And now I'm coming to realize people are just too goddamn prideful. You guys just don't want help. You guys just want to do it on your own. You want to do it the hard way. I see this with girls too. They just want to do things the hard way. You guys are hard-headed. And I'm over here and I'm saying, like, guys, I built the fucking boat. There's room for all of us. Just come get in the damn boat with me. And you're like, nah, I've got a life ring. I'm cool. And I'm like, no, but you don't understand. You come in the boat. It's dry. We've got a charcuterie board. We've got beverages. We're going to get there really quick. We can do it together. Come join. Just get on the flipping boat. Like, nah, I'm just gonna float around. I'm just going to enjoy the water. It's all right. Nah, I'll figure it out on my own. I'm good. And I saw this at a convention the other day. I was at a damn convention. This guy's booth looked like shit. And, I'm nice to him. I go up, I'm like, hey, I know it's been 2 hours. I'm not trying to sound like rude or anything, but you haven't had a whole lot of traffic stop by here. I've got some inventory that's the same as your inventory, okay? It's Pokemon cards. I can lay them out, and I'll tell you what, we can put it on here, and you've got the space. I'll give you half of whatever sells. Nah, I'm good. I think I'm just going to do what I'm doing. Comes back the next day, tons of inventory, and I stand there and I redesign his whole booth for him. And he finally concedes and allows me to redesign his own booth. Huge day the second day for him. I see a girl next to me struggling to make sales. I got all these damn sports cards, and I say, hey, I can't even fit these on my table. Let me help you. Let me help put inventory on your table. I'll give you half of what I put there. No, I'm good. I don't think I want to do sports cards. I'm like, okay, fine. I sell $350 worth of sports cards that Sunday alone. I meet another guy at a convention. I've got these amazing pins that I've been selling. I sold $1,000 worth of pins this last Sunday. I sold $1,000 worth of pins the previous Sunday. $2,000 worth of pin sales. And I tell the guy, hey, I'll give them to you half price, give you an opportunity to sell them. can't even connect the dots with them. So I'm at a point now, I just don't think I can help people because people don't want to be helped. Or it's just me. And if it's me, then it's me, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Maybe I'm just not influential enough to be able to help people, but I'm just tired of trying to help people within this space because you guys just don't want my help. And don't get me wrong, there's a handful of you. I love the guys who do. Okay, I don't mean to go on this tangent with you, but there's a lot of great help out there. It's just a lot of people just don't want to take it. A lot of people don't want to access the resources that are available to them. And then here's the other part. This is the tricky part. It's not even worth it. You know, I made great money over the last 10 years, but here's where it gets really bad is that I'm never going to advance from this position with this job, ever. There's no advancing. I'm at my max. I'm at my peak. I can't make more than I've made in my best month doing this job without just getting lucky. And I could have been doing something else. I think that's the tricky part. I could have been doing any career for 10 years. I could have gone to college for 6, and I could have been 4 years into a new profession right now. And I'm not. I'm here as a reseller, getting ready to fold up my business because it's just not the same as it used to be. The money isn't there anymore. The river is dry of gold. The gold rush is over, in my opinion. So now I'm just left in a spot where, with a little bit of regret, like I wish I started on a career. And now I'm going to explore some new options. I'm going to explore some new business options. I'm going to explore possibly even going to college. Because why not? I'm 36 and I have money and I have time. Why the heck not? Other than college just being a bit of a cesspool depending on where you're going. So here we are, full circle. That's all the horrible reasons why you shouldn't be a reseller. So, the good reasons for this job, and don't get me wrong, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of reasons to do this job. There is. So, you choose what you want to do and when you want to do it. So some days I'll be doing inventory repair, or some moments I'll say. I'll be doing inventory repair, I'll be doing inventory cleaning. Some days I'm sourcing, some days I'm doing outbound ads. Some days I'm doing promotions online, marketing, running sales, working directly with customers. Some days I'm doing shows. Some days I'm visiting antique shows, thrift stores. I'm going out of town to actually source for goods. You can choose to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. So sometimes I'll be doing photography and I'll be listing and I'll have spent like 2-3 hours doing it and I'm like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And there's always going to be something to do. So if you're somebody who's like me and you have a bit of ADHD tendencies and you have to stay busy and you have to stay occupied and you're constantly go, like you're always working on something, you're like a high functioning anxiety, and you're always moving and doing one thing to the next, this is a great job for you. This will keep your hands busy. This will keep your mind busy. This will keep you, like if you have laser focus, you're going to do great with this. Depending on where your expectations are. Again, because I have all the other things, but this really plays favorably to those things. Now, maybe you don't need to make a full-time income as a reseller. Maybe you're a female partner and, you know, your husband wants you to, or your partner, life partner, whomever wants you to make like an extra $500 a month, maybe an extra $1,000 a month, just kind of loosen things up a little bit around the household. You guys want to be able to buy some nice things for each other. You want to be able to go out once or twice a month. You want to be able to go on vacation every other month. You want to be able to afford those things. And you're that type of person, yeah, that's going to be really good for you. Or if you have like a kid or 2 kids and you want to be able to fit this in with your schedule and you want to be able to do other things, then yeah, this could be a really good fit for you if you're this type of adult. There's also unlimited earning potential. If you want to work 100 hours a week and you want to go to the nth degree and back, you can make as much money as you theoretically can make. You know, there are certain limitations based on, you know, the amount of goods that you can actually acquire and list and work through in a certain amount of time. But if I needed to turn it up to 11 next week and I needed to make, you know, $10,000 in the next week, I could probably pull it off. So there's unlimited upside earning potential if you're willing to work the hours to do it. One of the other really cool things about this job is that I can make really big business decisions all on my own. I don't have to get approval from anyone. So if I decide that I want to fundamentally redesign my warehouse, if I decide that I want to change my store name and my branding, if I want to change how I do my sourcing and the locations that I go to and the amount of money that I'm willing to spend on a particular buy. Last week alone, I spent upwards of $5,000 buying inventory specifically for a new venture I was doing. And I don't have to check with anyone, which is really cool. Obviously, there's a lot of room to, do a lot of damage if you're not careful, but it's really nice to have that power and not have somebody over me. And I think that's one of the other things, too, that keeps me from getting a traditional day job is that I believe I'm a lot smarter than the people who would be giving me direction, and I have trouble with that. And if you're that type of person where you're smart and you're really capable and you're going to struggle to take direction from anyone else, then this is going to offer you a level of independence. But just you have to take the good with the bad and understand that with that amount of power comes responsibility, because you can make some very large, costly mistakes that you wouldn't make if you were following the guidance and direction of a supervisor or a manager or a business owner. But I really enjoy the power that I have to be able to execute on big ideas immediately. So let's say right now I get a text message from somebody and it says, hey, they're doing this really big estate whatever thing in Pomona. You should come down and check it out. It's going to be going on for 3 days. And I can stop and I can make a big business decision. Am I going to be getting a hotel room? Who am I going to be traveling with? How long do I want to be gone for? How much money do I need to bring? What type of goods am I going to be trying to get? Should I just day trip it? What other variables and factors do I have to take into account? And I can execute on that idea and just go for it. I have that power to do that. It's very, very nice. It's very exciting to be in the driver's seat 24/7. But it is a lot to take on, and there is a lot more risk that comes from it. I can watch movies when I work most days. I wouldn't recommend it all the time, but I can watch movies. I can have an earpiece in my ear and I can talk with people on the phone while I'm working, while I'm doing photography. I can do video calls with people while I'm working. Some days I can pack up and I can, either take inventory or I can take, completed photos with me on my phone that are ready to get listed. And I can work while I'm on the go. I think that's kind of neat. I think that's very special to this type of field, is that you can kind of wrap your work around what you do. There's some people who have kids and it's like you're waiting for your kid to come out of school. We'll sit there and continue to run listings until he comes out. You can sneak your work in at different places. You can source for items online anytime. You can flip through Marketplace, OfferUp, wherever, and find more inventory that you can actually buy. It's very cool. You can sleep in too as much as you want. Now, I wouldn't recommend it. I usually get up by 6, 7 o'clock every morning. But if you want to sleep in, you can. And you can say, well, I'm, Daniel, for instance, my roomie here, he starts his day at like 1. Like he gets out of bed at maybe 11, 12 o'clock, and he's at his computer probably by about 1 o'clock, and then he works until about 9. So I'm led to believe, which I don't, but I'm led to believe that you can do first shift, second shift, third shift, all 3 if you want. You can do whatever you want to do, but if you want to start your day later, if you want to start your day early, maybe you just benefit from being more of a night owl, you can do that. It's kind of neat. It's kind of unique to this job. So if you have a partner that works third shift and you want to work the same time he's gone, or if you want to offset it by a little bit, you can totally do that. You can take a vacation anytime without having to ask anyone. So, you can set your store up and, tell your store that you're not going to be there for a few days so you don't get dinged on your packages. But if I want to leave for a week, I could literally set my store mode, load up a backpack, and I could just walk out the door. There's no stopping or checking or asking with anyone, no checking with the boss or anything. I just kind of go. And I'm never late to work. I don't ever have that rush, like I have to hurry up and get dressed and get ready and put the right shirt on and drive real quick across town and hopefully there's no traffic on the freeway. I don't have any of that. And I take my breaks anytime I want. I give myself a 1-hour lunch break each day. And I can do that anytime I want. I take 2 10s, just like a normal employee, because I found that if I don't, I lose my sanity. I need to act like a regular employee and take proper breaks for my own self, my happiness, and my well-being. But I can do them whenever I want, which is really nice. And I love treasure hunting. I really do. Some of the coolest things I own I found while outsourcing and by building connections with unique people. And nothing makes me happier than finding something that I'm going to keep. I really mean it. I can go out and I can find hundreds of dollars worth of items on a week by week basis. Now, I'll say I could go out any day and find a couple $100s worth of goods. I don't believe that anymore. I don't think that exists anymore. I think that in a week I could pick up a couple $100s worth of goods. But I used to tell people on the channel all the time, any day of the week I can go out and I can find $400 or $500 worth of stuff. I don't believe that anymore. Not now. No. So, but my happiest moments are when I find something I'm going to keep, even if it's like a $5 little fidget toy, even if it's I have a board game over there. I paid $4 for it. It's called Air Baron. It's worth like $60. I was so pumped to find my own copy of that one. Just really neat stuff like that, and that brings me a lot of joy. And if you're a collector of things, if you enjoy, like some people collect sold as new VHSs, pops, whatever it might be, finding items that you collect while you're out in the wild, it's fantastic. And then selling those items on, the extras, or selling other things to fund that collection, that's a lot of fun too. So I do like finding high quality goods. I find books for myself sometimes too, which is really nice. So if you have something that you love doing or collecting, it's a great way to get more of that stuff. And that's a lot of fun. I also get more time outdoors. This job, you have to be really mindful of it. Get outside. It's really easy to spend a lot of time indoors, but going to yard sales, going to swap meets, it does get me outside. It does get me traveling to new areas, which is nice. I see new towns that I wouldn't normally see, so I enjoy that. And then here's a cool one, is you get to sell your own stuff. So, when I have shoes that I'm just not wearing anymore, I'll sell them online. People buy them. I have half a dozen shirts that are going to eBay right now that are still great condition shirts, old board games, collectibles, you name it. I can sell things that are mine that I just don't want anymore. I have the infrastructure already in place to sell it. So it really helps me reduce the amount of junk that I have here, is because I can move it on very quickly. So if you're somebody who, I don't buy a lot, but if you're one of those people that buys a whole bunch of stuff for yourself and you're like, oh, why the heck did I even buy this for myself? You have the means that you can sell it online if you want. Obviously, you're not going to get all your money back, but you can get something back. Sell a handful of shit items you don't need anymore, and then go buy yourself steak and shrimp at Tahoe Joe's, $35. Easy money. And I really enjoy the act of salvaging items that would otherwise go in the trash can, especially when it's bringing life to kids' toys and kids' items. I have a giant bag of Zoom Zooms that I just got recently that smell horrendously of smoke, and I've spent the better part of 3 days trying to get the smoke smell out of them because I don't want to throw them away. They're kids' toys. I want to find a way for kids to be able to love and enjoy them again. I had someone come over the other day, and I had to do surgery on a stuffed animal, and we had to hand wash it. We hand washed it together, and we put it inside the dryer. I have a special dryer for drying stuffed animals now. And just being able to restore that item, even though it's like an $8 or $10 bear, but it meant like so much to her. It's like such a special toy to her, and just being able to give that item a second life again. And then restoring antiques and collectibles and items to that effect. Like, it's so freaking cool to give a second life to something that would go in the trash, and be able to share that joy with other people because you've done that. That's very, very gratifying. That's easily one of the best parts of this job for me, is being able to do that, especially when it's directly for another person. And this job's great too for putting your ethics on trial as well. If you're a good person, you're going to be rewarded for being honest and having good integrity within this field. If you're a bad person, you will get punished in the long term. You will not succeed. You have to do business with ethics. You cannot lie to people. You will not succeed. Your name will get sullied, but overall, you will just not succeed, because that's the way the world works. So don't come into this profession unless you intend on being honest with somebody. Somebody asks you how much something is worth, you have to tell them the truth. It's integral to your success here with this field. That's the main reasons. Now, I do want to end on one thing. We still have a Bolorama Facebook group. And the Facebook group, I'll put the link down below. It's free to join. We also have a group chat, which used to cost $5 a month, and it's absolutely free. And I want to give a direct shout out to Mike, because if it wasn't for Mike, Tobias, I wouldn't be shooting this video right now. He really encouraged me to get back to shooting, and I think maybe he'll better understand why now I haven't been as enthused about shooting videos, because I'm not very enthused about the market right now. It's just not, in my opinion, a great time to be a reseller. But the community is still there, and we would love to have you. It's completely free to join. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to join, just reach out on Facebook. We'll take care of you. And this is my soft pitch. If you'd like to give a donation, it's 100% going straight into my pocket. I am just going to buy myself dinner or coffee or whatever. Information's down below. I don't receive enough money to actually generate ad revenue off this. We're not really doing Patreon anymore. And, sadly, this might be my last video on this topic as far as reselling. Now, that doesn't mean that the channel is going to get nerfed or anything. I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm a lot more passionate about than reselling right now, but I'd love to talk with you about. And if you're only here for the reselling, then I hate to say this, it might be a good time to unsubscribe because I don't see me doing a whole lot of them anymore. But if you want to hang around and hear my thoughts on conventions and business startups and men's health and interpersonal relationships and intergender dynamics and all that type of life stuff, and you want to hear where I'm going at next in life, and you maybe want to go on an adventure or two with me, then let's do it. But as of right now, I have set the Bolorama website to go ahead and expire here soon. I don't intend on selling the IP, but we're just going to go ahead and let that expire out. We're going to be downgrading just back to the Bolorama Facebook page as well as the group chat, and I will most likely be converting the Patreon over to something completely new in the near future. But I love making videos, so maybe we'll keep making some videos. So, yeah. Thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I didn't expect to end on a somber note, to be completely honest with you. I hadn't really given consideration to the fact that I was going to be making this my last reseller video, but I guess it kind of makes sense that it would be. Maybe I'll do the eBay Open one. I don't know. I know Darren wants me to, so we'll see what's going to happen. But, as always, guys, remember, if you don't make that money, someone else will. And this time, it's not going to be me. Have a great day.